Good morning, everyone. I am the Reverend Willie Briscoe, Associate Minister at New Covenant Baptist Church here in Milwaukee, and President of Wisdom, the state organization of religious leaders and religious organizers geared towards social justice. I'd like to welcome you to Faithful Action for a Healthy Wisconsin. Uh, I'd like to tell you a little bit of how we began and how we arrived at this moment. It was through a press conference and a webinar held by the Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, who was telling us about how the state was rejecting their offer for a mask mandate and a distancing mandate that would be statewide. And we had, and I, and well, let me start that over again. We came to a conclusion that we as faithful members and members of the faith of this state would have to have a stronger voice because we were truly bipartisan. We would be able to bring to the people a faithful message that would be to protect our neighbors, our faithful friends, and those around the entire state if we adhere to these mandates. Now, I had invoked one of the verses from my faith, 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. So with that, we have decided to appeal to the state of Wisconsin, all of our elected officials, and on behalf of our healthcare workers, on behalf of our citizens, on behalf of our first responders, and on behalf of all of those who respect the sanctity of life, that we would state this press conference and this beginning to come to a conclusion that all of us are brothers and sisters, and all of us respect the sanctity of life. So with that, I would like to introduce the planners of this press conference and the speakers. I will start off first with the Reverend Carrie Parker.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Carrie Parker, the Executive Director of the Wisconsin Council of Churches.
And co-host Peter Bakken.
I'm Peter Bakken, Justice and Witness Coordinator for the Wisconsin Council of Churches in Madison, Wisconsin.
One of the main planners, Rabbi Bunny Margulis.
I'm Rabbi Bonnie Margulis. I'm the Executive Director of Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice, and I'm in Madison, Wisconsin.
And Miss Tamarin Haywood.
I'm Tamarin Hayward. I am co-president of Racine Interfaith Coalition in Racine, Wisconsin, a part of Wisdom, and I'm a United Methodist.
Bishop Laurie Scow.
Good morning, I'm Bishop Laurie Scow Anderson. I serve the Northwest Synod of Wisconsin in the Evangelical Lutheran Church, and my office is in Chautauqua, Wisconsin.
Deacon David Belling.
Hi, Deacon David Bailing. I am the Campus Ministry Director at Journey House, UW River Falls, and I serve as the Justice Advocate for the Northwest Synod of Wisconsin.
Dr. Ibrahim Saeed.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Ibrahim Saeed. I am the President of the Islamic Community of Madison here in Madison, Wisconsin. Welcome to the meeting.
Father Yepriam Kelligan.
Father Yepriam Collegian. I'm living in Racine, Wisconsin, Armenian Orthodox Christian, and I represent the Archdiocese of the Armenian Church to the Wisconsin Council of Churches.
Mr. Guy Ryder.
Yeah, so Onakwitnit Kam Walpasha Nitotan Kashikna Nitsky Wakian. My English name is Guy Ryder. I am the Executive Director of Minneconaughton here on the Menominee Indian Reservation. Thank you.
Mr. Kyle Mendian.
My name is Kyle Minden from the Lutheran Office of Public Policy based in Madison.
Pastor Ernest Nye.
Greetings all. My name is Ernest Nye, pastor of Wayman African Methodist Episcopal Church in Racine, Wisconsin, and member of the Racine Interfaith Coalition.
Rabbi Dina Feingold.
I'm Rabbi Dina Feingold of Beth Hillel Temple in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and a member of the Religious Leaders Caucus of Cush, part of Wisdom in Kenosha.
I believe that is the end of our list.
Actually, I was on the planning committee too, Reverend Briscoe.
Yes, and me too.
I'm
State
Pastor
your names, please, because
go ahead if you would like to.
State your names.
Reverend Reardon, would you like to?
I'm Reverend Gumbel, the resident priest of the Milwaukee Zen Center and also member of the Buddhist Peace Fellowship here in Milwaukee. Thank you.
Right, I was also on the planning committee, Pastor Cindy Crane with the Lutheran Office for Public Policy in Wisconsin.
And
I was also on. Go
ahead.
My name's Reverend Selena Fox from rural Barneveld, Wisconsin, and I also was on the planning committee. I'm senior minister of Circle Sanctuary, and I'm on the board of Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice.
And this is Reverend Marian Boyle Roloff. I am pastor, Westside Moravian Church in Green Bay, Wisconsin, part of Joshua, a Wisdom affiliate, and one of the vice presidents for Wisdom.
And
thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning. I'm Sister Pam Mitchell, Vicaress of the Dominican Sisters of Sinsinawa. Sinsinawa is located in the southwest corner of the state in Grant County.
Good morning. My name is Reverend Tanya Sadagopin. I serve First Congregational Church in Janesville, Wisconsin.
Thank you very much, and forgive me for not scrolling to your names, but like I said, charge it to my head and not my heart.
Good morning, Pastor. I am Pastor Libby Howe, and I'm the assistant to the bishop and director for evangelical mission in the La Crosse area synod of the ELCA.
Good morning. I am Rabbi Jonathan Beich. I serve Temple Beth El in Madison, Wisconsin.
And if there's anyone else on the planning committee, would you introduce yourself at this time? If not, we'll go on to our speakers. Our speakers, starting off, will be Father Yeprim. He has the top line message.
Yes, Father Yeprim Collegian Armenian Church. Look, Wisconsin is in a moral and spiritual dilemma and challenge at this time. People are dying. And so much of the solution is in our own hands. The goal of the governor and health professionals is to stop COVID and unnecessary death. To do this, action is necessary. In my church's spirituality, there is a heavy emphasis on action. Indeed, what is prayer and faith without action? So out of that spirituality, I implore the citizens of Wisconsin to take action. Mask up. It's not hard. Wash your hands frequently. Gather responsibly. And then there's the Christian imperative issued by St. Paul that what do we owe other people? We owe them nothing except we owe everyone the debt of love, which is the mother of all commandments. So even if you don't believe the governor or any health professionals, our scripture demands that we love and respect other people. It is so simple. Wear a mask. Limit your gatherings. That is showing respect and love to other people. So just listen to the scripture. Listen to the God of your faith, or simply listen to your own conscience, which would tell you not to kill people. In closing, we are in a period of uncertainty. We are all mourning the dead. There is justifiable fear in our hearts. It is our faith which can give us courage and hope to move to a healthier Wisconsin. So pray, but mostly take loving actions. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Yepra. Follow the safety guidelines. Rabbi Dina Feingold.
Rabbi Dina Feingold, Kenosha, Wisconsin. You know, every religious tradition has its version of the well-known passage from the Hebrew Bible, Ve'ahavta l're'acha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. And as Wisconsinites, caring for each other has always been a core value. We are called upon now to actively live out this value as we face the coronavirus pandemic. The greatest of all the commandments in Judaism is pikuach nefesh, saving a life. As we face COVID-19, simple acts that show we care about others can literally save lives. And public health guidelines could not be more clear about how to do this. There's no guesswork involved. To keep others safe, we must wear masks, we must practice physical distancing, we must avoid large gatherings, stay home as much as possible, and use sanitizer or wash our hands frequently. These actions show that we care for our neighbors, for their health and their very lives, as much as we care for our own. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown how intertwined our health is with that of our neighbors in ways perhaps we never really thought about before. That just by being in close proximity to someone talking or breathing, we can infect each other. This pandemic has not only reminded us of how much we need each other to act responsibly to be healthy, but also how much we can accomplish together if we take responsibility for each other's well-being. When we join together and act for the safety and well-being of our neighbors, it benefits the entire community. The idea that we have to choose between our health on the one hand and the economy on the other, and that we can't have one without the other, is a false dichotomy. Together we can find solutions that support our economy while keeping us healthy and safe. To find such solutions is a sacred obligation.
Thank you, Rabbi Feingold. Next, we have protect the most vulnerable and those with fewest options. Reverend Gumble.
Thank you. At this moment, the state of Wisconsin is in a health crisis. All of us need to live up to our values of justice and compassion for all. We must curb this pandemic, especially for those who are disproportionately impacted, like persons of color and the elderly. Many among us are more vulnerable to the virus because of pre-existing conditions. Also those who live in closed housing, like nursing homes or prisons. As a community, we must protect those who have fewer options to be safe, essential workers, those with low wages who have to go out and work because otherwise they could not afford paying rent. The right thing to do is to ensure that we all have what we need to be well, regardless how we earn a living or how much we make. I urge all of you who are listening now to do what you can. Stay home if possible, wear your mask, and keep physical distance from others. It is especially hard now that the holidays are upon us, but the more we comply with the safety rules, the sooner we will be able to release them again. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Gumble. Next, we got grateful to healthcare workers, Mr. Guy Ryder.
Yeah, po so. Waiwana Nitskes Piak Eos. My name is Guy Ryder. I'm the Executive Director of Minikonikim. I'll get the great pleasure of thanking those frontline workers that have really been at the forefront of this pandemic. And I know that a lot of them have been burning the candle on both ends. They've really been stepping up and helping our victims of this pandemic. And I think we should all give them a bit of our gratitude and our remembrance. They have taken no political lines. They've definitely been sometimes the only solace for our victims that have succumbed to this pandemic. And in that time, they gave what they could. And we should all be very grateful for that ability for them and what they have done for us. They are also facing an increase in numbers in this pandemic. I feel that we need to make sure that we support them. We try to put our masks on. We wash our hands. We try to social distance as much as we can. We always need to remember that we want to elect good leadership. We want to make sure that we hold our leadership accountable. That this pandemic that we're in affects all of us. It affects all races. It affects all classes, genders, and that we as a people need to stand together in this moment and this time. And we cannot ever forget all those 200,000 plus Americans who passed away to this pandemic. We keep them in our hearts. We think about them when we put our masks on. We think about them when we wash our hands. And hopefully if we work together, we'll be able to flatten this curve and have a better future for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Guy Ryder. Now, grateful to our chaplains, Reverend Selena Fox.
I'm Reverend Selena Fox, Senior Minister and Chaplains Administrator for Circle Sanctuary, a rural nature religions church near Barneveld, Wisconsin, serving nature religion practitioners of many paths throughout Wisconsin, across the USA, and other parts of the world. Let us remember, appreciate, and send support to chaplains who are providing spiritual care for COVID-19 patients and their loved ones. And let us also remember, appreciate, and send support to the social workers, counselors, and other mental health professionals working with chaplains and others within and in partnerships with hospitals, nursing homes, hospices, and other institutions during this pandemic. In addition to providing care for patients with COVID-19, chaplains provide care for their family and friends, helping their loved ones not only cope with having a loved one with COVID, but navigating the limitations to direct contact that too often are present as healthcare systems in our state and elsewhere struggle with the rise in COVID-19 cases. In addition to caring for patients and their families and friends, let us also remember, appreciate, and support chaplains because they're also helping the healthcare workers, the first responders, morticians, essential workers within and with healthcare delivery systems deal with the stresses of working. Wisconsin has been and continues to be in national and global news in 2020 due to the horrific spread of COVID-19 and contentious politics. May our public expression of multi-religious and multicultural collaboration today in this press conference bring support to chaplains, other healthcare workers, and all on the front lines of this pandemic. We are all interconnected with other humans and with the greater circle of nature of which we are all part here on planet Earth, our home, and beyond. May our cooperation today inspire other convergences of diversity, for the greater good now and in times to come. So be it.
Thank you, Reverend Fox. Now, support for city councils, county executive, and local health departments working to curb COVID-19. Reverend Nye.
Good morning, beloved. This is Pastor Nye. I'm Pastor Wayman African Methodist Episcopal Church in Racine, Wisconsin. Racine, Wisconsin, who has a record of 40% positive testing. 40%, beloved. In the midst of all of the political arguments that's going on, I'm very, very pleased to see that we're coming together in this press conference to appeal to our politicians locally as well as statewide to work together rather than to fight. What if I tell you that Wisconsin has also broke many records in this past week? We have surpassed 77,000 new cases in one day, Thursday and Friday. So now we have over 2,600 deaths in our state. Over 300,000 cases have been recorded. That's an astronomical figure. And we need our leaders to come together, both locally as well as statewide, to get this thing done. We thank God, look like we have some hope coming from Washington, but that's January. In the meantime, beloved, talk with your politicians, talk with your leaders, and let them know that we need unity and not fighting to get past this pandemic. God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend Nye. Now, agency must act now. Bishop Lori Scow Anderson.
Good morning. I am Pastor Lori Scow Anderson, and I serve as the Bishop of the Northwest Synod of Wisconsin. And I represent 198 ELCA Lutheran congregations and over 90,000 Lutheran members. And I know I speak for all of my folks that I represent. We all want this to be over. We're tired. We all want to be on the other side of this pandemic without any more loss of life, without anyone else dying. My office is in Barron County. It's a very rural county in Wisconsin. And for a long time, it seemed like we'd been spared the brunt of this pandemic, but it's gotten very real, very fast in our corner of the state. On Friday, there were 56 new cases, 533 new cases in Barron County, and 30 deaths in that county. Today, we all need to commit to take this coronavirus seriously. We urge all citizens and our elected representatives to support the city councils, the county executives, and the local public health departments who are acting to curb COVID-19. They're doing all that they can to serve the public good and to keep us safe in extremely stressful situations. Agencies at every level of government must use every policy tool at their disposal and do it now to slow the spread of the coronavirus. I think we can all agree that our elected officials have a responsibility to provide leadership in a time of crisis. Our elected officials have responsibility for the health and well-being of their constituents. And I think we can agree today that this pandemic is a nonpartisan issue. It's a nonpartisan issue. And whatever our elected leaders' party affiliation might be, they must follow the science and public health experts. The legislature's failure to act has endangered healthcare and other essential workers, placed stress on hospitals and other health services, and it's increased the uncertainty and confusion and left people without a clear understanding of what they need to do to keep themselves and their families safe. Without unified state mandates, decisions are left to individuals, local municipalities, and community leaders, leading to piecemeal policies that weaken our response to the virus and set neighbor against neighbor. As residents of Wisconsin, we must stay informed, stay engaged, and hold our representatives accountable for doing the right thing. We need to hold our representatives accountable for doing the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Bishop Laurie Scow. And before I turn this over to Kerry Parker and Rabbi Bonnie Margulis, I would like to say it is an honor, a complete honor to be counted among the faithful that we are, and that I am honored to be able to call this role today and to be among you, because this is truly what God had called us to do. Speak truth to power. And I'm proud to serve with all of you. I'm proud to even call your names, because I would say, let this not be the ending of this coalition, but only the beginning, so that we may be able to attack those things that come against mankind, and we would attack them jointly in our faiths, in our beliefs, and our callings. God bless you all. Now we'll turn it over to Reverend Kerry Parker and Rabbi Bonnie Margulis to welcome the press.
Thank you so much, Reverend Briscoe, and thank you for sparking the idea that brought us to this day, and for your leadership. So we want to open it up for Q&A. Please, those of you who are on the call listening in, if you would allow the press to ask their questions first. And when we've taken all the questions from the press, if our participants have any questions, we can open it up to you as well. To ask a question, please use your hand raise function, or write your question not in the chat, but in the Q&A box. Cindy Cat has a question.
Yes, I'm just wondering how we can get the Republicans in our legislature to start taking this seriously. I mean, our governor has tried to put forth mandates that people wear masks and that we close businesses or limit how many people can come in. And then these GOPs come by and back and they file a lawsuit and put a stop to everything he's trying to do to keep us safe. What can we do about this?
Well, thank you for the question. We are going to be sending out some talking points to all the people who have registered for this press conference today, and through all of our networks, so that you all can write letters, make phone calls, send emails, contact your legislators, both your local city councils and common councils and county boards, and also your legislators in the state house. So look to your emails for those talking points to help you connect with your legislators.
We have some questions in the Q&A. There's one regarding whether we are urging parishioners and congregants to stay at home across our traditions. I can speak to that from the perspective of the Wisconsin Council of Churches. Our latest recommendation to the 2,000 congregations within the traditions of the Wisconsin Council of Churches is that we go back to remote worship fully without gathering for indoor or outdoor worship. That's not a mandate by any means, because we operate relationally, not in a power relationship. But that is our latest recommendation. I'll let others speak to their traditions.
This is Reverend Tanya Sadagopan from the United Church of Christ in Janesville, Wisconsin. This summer, we were having in-person worship outdoors once a month, but when the cases started surging, it became clear that it was prudent for us to return to online worship only. I know myself and many of my colleagues in Janesville, we have all committed to the best of our ability having our worship online, and my colleagues around the state, most are participating in online worship because we care for protecting our families and our individuals and our members. In my congregation, I'm urging all of my members to rethink what it means to be thankful this year and to host their Thanksgivings via Zoom, Facebook, phone calls, and to have it be a more intimate, humble, and private affair. And that too, as we look forward to Advent and Christmas Eve. God bless you all and stay safe.
Carrie, this is
This is-
Tammy Hayward, in Racine, Wisconsin. Bishop Young of the United Methodist Church has also urged all his constituents, all his parishioners in our conference to continue or restart virtual worshiping. In my own church, we had 8 weeks of in-person and virtual for whatever they want, but we've gone back to that as well until the new year at least. Thank you.
And this is Reverend Briscoe, and I don't speak for my entire faith, but I speak from the Bible. And I started off with that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound mind. That love means that we look out for the least of those in our society and care for those and protect them from this virus. And a sound mind tells us that if we are trying to gather in crowds of more than 10, and if we are trying to go out and act the thing as usual, well, that sound mind tells us that we will spread the disease. So a sound mind tells us to stay at home, shop for the essentials, and protect those vulnerable in our society.
Carrie, this is Rabbi Beich. I think that it's fair to say in our tradition, we say that the saving of one life is as though we have saved the whole world. And again, we don't dictate, there's no one source that dictates control to any group of synagogues here in Wisconsin, certainly. But every synagogue has the responsibility to make sure their congregants are safe. In our case, we have followed both Dane County, which is where we're located. We followed Dane County ordinances, and we also look to state to be a guide for us as well. We also say that if the positivity rate is above a certain number, which is actually 3, which is far below what it is in Dane County right now, that we don't gather at all. We recommend people stay at home, worship remotely.
Amen.
We
have not had.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Reverend, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Every morning we meditate together on Zoom, and we have done that since March. We had some individuals come in, but now we are completely closed, and this is true for all the Buddhists that I'm in contact with.
Selena?
We have gathered together throughout the 46 years of our community. However, our last big gathering was February 1st. Since that time, we have adapted to doing our services online and are encouraging everyone to do this. And there are ways to connect in cyberspace and inner space until it becomes safe again for us to connect face to face.
Thank you. And I'm seeing in the chat, several of the ELCA bishops have written in on the chat that they are urging their congregations to stay virtual or outdoors in their worship, at least through until January. Thank you. Reverend Briscoe, I have a question that came in that I'm going to address to you. Wisdom has had dialogue with the governor for a number of months on the importance of facing the pandemic in our prison systems. He's done nothing while the pandemic has reached huge numbers. Reverend Briscoe, can you speak to the dialogues that you've been having with the governor?
Precisely. Today, we are standing in support of the governor's stay at home, mask up, and distance. We are standing in support. But tomorrow, we will be standing against the governor because he has not come out in support or said any word in support of the prisoners behind bars or shown any instance where he cares for those. So there is a statement in our faith, in our organization, in Gamaliel and Wisdom, what do you use? No permanent friends and no permanent enemies. So we are standing solidly behind the governor in this, but we are standing in front of him, confronting him to come out and speak on behalf of the prisoners behind bars. At least say that you care. We're looking for some public statement. So we're in constant contact with him, but we're in somewhat of doubt of his opposition or his lack of action on this matter.
Thank you. There's a question: if the Wisconsin Supreme Court strikes down Governor Evers' mask mandate, what advocacy or legal options are there for us to create uniformity in the COVID response? And I'll just say from Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice, we're going to be sending out an action alert after today. Thank you so much for Peter Bakken's work from the Wisconsin Council of Churches to help in crafting talking points. But it's incumbent upon all of us to take up the call and just to bombard all of our legislators' offices with as many phone calls, emails, text messages, regular letters, whatever we can do to contact them and put as much pressure as we can on them to act and to make a difference. Carrie, Cindy, I don't know from your office if you want.
Yes, I would thank you so much, Rabbi Bonnie. I'm Pastor Cindy Crane with the Lutheran Office for Public Policy, and Kyle Minden, our Hunger Advocacy Fellow, and I put together a resource for contacting counties. We generally work on a statewide legislative level, but we decided that we need to give some guidance, some advice on how people could speak to their county officials, both their county health officials, their county health officers, and maybe their county execs or supervisors. The structure will depend on the county, but you might consider, you of course can use resources from any of our groups, but you might want to consider how you'll connect with your county leaders.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to comment?
Yes,
I
this
do.
is a pastor of Wayman Racine. We were brought up how to take care of ourselves. At this point, no one needs to tell us how to eat, how to brush our teeth, how to bathe. Besides legislation, I appeal to my people, I applaud to my people, please use your common sense. Protect yourself. No matter what the legislation does, protect yourself. Wear that mask. Practice social distancing. Wash your hands. And of course, get your flu shot this season, of course. Protect yourself. Thank you.
Well, I think that we are overlooking the power that's on this call, the power that we're looking at on this screen. And we have just started to form this coalition. I think that if we stay together, if we keep delivering this message, and it comes from all corners of this state, from all of our faith, and from all of our houses of worship, because we serve the most nonpartisan leader of all, and that's God. And I think that if we deliver, keep saying his word, keep delivering his message to his people, that I think that this is just the beginning of something that's larger than what we can see right now.
Thank you. So we've had a request for prayer for Thanksgiving, and for expressing it by staying at home. Don't want to put anybody on the spot, but we have all these rabbis and pastors and faith leaders from different traditions. Would somebody be willing to offer an interfaith prayer for Thanksgiving for all of us?
I can give a very short one.
Please.
Using the Hebrew scripture of the Psalms. Give thanks to the Lord, for his love is everlasting. With that, Lord, we remember in bad times you have been there. In terrible times you have been there. You have always come to our aid. And right now, Wisconsin, the nation, the world, we're going through some bad times right now, Lord, but we will answer by just giving thanks to you, Lord, for we know that you are with us and you will use us to combat this particular pandemic at this time. And we'll always give you thanks, not always. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank
Bonnie,
you.
I would like to offer a follow-up also.
Please.
I'd like to call on all my brothers and sisters from the Hindu traditions, from Jain and Sikh traditions, our Native American Indian spirituality, and the multiple religious perspectives that are not present here today. We are all part of this great circle of life in balance. We must call for balance with nature and creation, as well as our brothers and sisters and the children of our world, that we can work together to put this virus in our history rather than in our present. I ask that all people of goodwill follow the guidelines, care for one another, and practice distancing during the holidays ahead.
Thank you. Do we have any other last words before we conclude? I'm going to call on Peter Bakken, Justice and Witness Coordinator for the Wisconsin Council of Churches, to send us off with a charge. But if anybody else wants to make any final words or send us off with a prayer before I call on Peter.
I would like to say something. I just have a question about how we can, I know we're using our voices. Sometimes I feel like our voices aren't being heard or heeded, but there are other voices that we could help mobilize. And I'm wondering about how we could help. There's a lot of organizers on this call, how to help organize other groups to use the skills that we have. I'm particularly thinking about here in La Crosse, our public health office. Now I know that's government work, I know, but I feel like if enough of them got together and said, we can't keep doing this, we can't survive this way, that might push the legislature to do what we need them to do. Just an idea, and I'm just wondering if there's other thoughts around that. I know we're getting to time, but I wanted to make sure I named it.
Yes, thank you. Carrie, do you want to address that? Or not?
I don't think there's a quick and easy answer to any of that. It takes trust in relationships. This call didn't come together quickly. You know, we had lots of emails, we had weekly gatherings, and some of us had been working together long before that on other issues. But we absolutely have to start, and we have to realize that this work takes persistence. It's none of its easy wins. We have to start, and we have to be committed to it. And we can't just say, oh, well, it didn't happen today, so it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen the day after that. We have to be persistent. We have to stay in it. Because that's not the way justice works. Just because it didn't happen today doesn't mean it's not coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Peter, can I ask you to lead us out with our charge as we all leave this press conference? We're going to go and send an email, write a letter, make a phone call, contact our legislators. Peter, what is the message?
Well, thank you, Bonnie. Yeah, I mean, even as the rates of infection and hospitalization and death, keep climbing, we can still turn this around if we work together. And I'm grateful that there do seem to be a little more openness among the legislative leadership to, hopefully working with the governor with, with supporting the public health guidelines. But I would urge everyone on this call to write to their state assembly member or senator and ask them to publicly support the recommendations of medical experts and publicly stand forward and be very vocal about this, and to support Governor Evers' public health orders and stop working to undermine those. And then to set partisanship aside and work to pass a comprehensive package of legislation to get us through this crisis. The governor has said that he's working on a package of legislation, and I'm sure it's going to be a long and difficult process. But we need everyone among their constituents to be telling the legislature, work together to get this done. There's no more time for partisan bickering and foot dragging. This needs to be done now. It's been hanging fire for far too long. So please write your legislators and write a letter to the editor of your local paper or local media. More we can do to get the word out to make this a clear public pressure campaign, I think is the best route that we have to actually seeing some change. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Carrie, Reverend Briscoe, do you have any final words?
We are getting a question about where this press conference will be available for replay. It aired on our Facebook feed for Wisconsin Council of Churches. You can find it there. We are recording it, and it should be up within the next day or so on our YouTube channel. And I believe that it also was aired live on Wisconsin Eye. I also see that Reverend has her hand raised if she still has something she'd like to say.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, especially Bonnie and Peter, and also Carrie and everybody else who brought us together in this call. I know it was not so easy, and I'm really grateful that we were able to pull this off. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody, to all of our panelists, all of our speakers, all of the organizers, all of the people who co-sponsored and worked on this event. Thank you to the press who came, and thank you to all of our participants. Please spread the message. Please share the video. Please write to your senators in assembly and to your common councils and your county boards. And please share this with your congregations as well. If there's any final words, Reverend Briscoe?
Yes, there is a statement that comes from my faith where it says, when the Son of Man returns to the earth, will he truly find faith on the earth? And that I interpret as, will he find workers? Will he find the faithful still at work, still out in the vineyard, still out in the fields, still trying to do his work? So that I say that to say, let's continue his work, because this is a lifetime work. It is not for a season and it's not for a pandemic, but it's for life. So if we can stay together and we can communicate, we can be found working and found faithful when he returns.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and we are together. We're going to get through this.